Hey everyone, Joe here back again. Welcome to another episode of the Build Assets Online Show. Today I am here with Fernando Angulo. He is head of communications at SEMrush. If you don't know what SEMrush is, it's a software, it's kind of a search engine marketing software. I'm pretty sure that's what SEM stands for. But yeah, it allows you to do keyword research, track how you're ranking with certain keywords, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, Fernando specializes in B2B SEO. So we do build B2B stores as well as B2C stores. And obviously, e-commerce in general, he is also well versed in. So we're going to ask him some questions. So welcome to the show, Fernando. How's it going?
Hi, thank you for having me here. It's great to be here. And yes, I've been working for SEMrush, I will say the last 8 years. So basically, we started like a proper startup with about 10, 15 people. Right now, we're about 900, and we are basically in every single country with more than 5 million users. So we know a little bit what is SEO and how to do search engine marketing.
Wow, that's pretty huge. And the first thing I thought when you said that, it was like, why do you need such a big team? But then I kind of remembered that search engines are in all different languages. So is that the driver of kind of why you need such a big operation?
Oh, yes, of course. And basically, when we started, we only had a couple of features, a couple of tools that are mainly related to SEO, which are the keyword research tool and the domain analytics. So we started with those two tools. Right now, we have 48 tools, and basically more of them. Most of them are related to content creation and content analysis. So we are kind of a step ahead on content creation features than SEO. We are not anymore the classical SEO tool. We are away from that, like I don't know, from five years or something. So we are now working more with content creation, social media integrations, research, and of course competitor analysis.
Oh, cool. So kind of like a real all-in-one thing where you can work on your on-page, analyze the links, analyze your rankings, all that stuff, all in one
Yeah,
now, I guess, right?
it's a cycle, right? You're doing your keyword research. You need to create your content. You need to spread your message through social media channels. Then you need to measure. You need to have the knowledge about how you can escalate your business. So you need to create reports, and then you need to start over again. So that's the superficial part of the tool, because we have in-depth analytics about what is happening on your own page SEO, what is happening with your broken links, broken content, missing content, page speed, and very, very deep technical stuff. Not only with SEO, but also with PPC, with pay-per-click advertising, and not only with the display advertising, but also with the Google My Business part, with the product listing ads.
Oh, cool. Interesting. Yeah, honestly, I'm not like an affiliate for any SEO type software to date, but I
Right.
am a user of Ahrefs just because that's what I've always been using. I'm just when I started
Right.
doing SEO stuff, but as far as I know, they don't have that holistic type of thing built in unless I'm logging in and missing some of the features. But yeah, that's pretty incredible that you guys have added all that stuff in the last, I mean, I guess few years, right?
Right, right. When we changed the direction from going through an SEO tool to a content platform, it has passed, I believe, like 3 years or 4 years. Because right now we are also trying to diversify the list of the products that we have, and we are creating products specifically for Amazon, for example. This is not more any Google search engine related features, but they are going to be Amazon related features. Right now we have this tool. This is a totally different project powered by the SEMrush team that is called Sellerly. So there you can do your A/B testings with all the features that you have when you're launching a product on Amazon. So you can see how your images are working, how the text descriptions, how the prices are working, and just do the A/B testings and launch the one that is featuring better.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, I've dabbled in. I mean, I used to do not. That's probably mainly for private label sellers. I've done a bunch of selling
Yeah.
on Amazon, not too deep in the private label, mainly done sort of arbitrage selling and wholesale, but I am kind of familiar with how important the keyword research is on Amazon if you're launching a
Yes.
product and ranking for those keywords and ranking for the variations. So, yeah, that's cool. So, as someone who I'm curious about your job title. As someone who is head of communications at SEMrush, what does
Yeah.
your day to day look like? Like, what are you doing?
Oh yes, so many different stuff. So communications, in this role, you need to do basically all the public speaking. I'm one of the public speakers of the company. I'm also working with the influencers marketing teams. Of course, we have a big database of influencers. How we are creating relationships with them, and I'm managing as well the social media teams. So all the comments, all the replies that we have on overall the several social networks are part of my job as well. So a common day looks like several meetings in the morning, then job during the first part of the day a little bit, and then if I'm at the office, I have some stuff to do with, for example, online events, or if I'm traveling and doing like 3 different countries per week with public speaking.
Cool. So when you say relationship building now, let
Yeah.
me clarify something. As someone who obviously I don't own any business that is at the size or at the magnitude of SEMrush is. So when I think of relationship building, I'm really thinking about like link building. You're thinking of it as like a more holistic approach, or when you say relationship building, are you thinking like, okay, we're putting out this blog post, we're gonna send it out to our Rolodex of people and maybe get some links, get some traffic to the page, or is it like a level? Is it a level deeper than that with SEMrush? If you get what I'm
Well, at the
saying.
beginning, yes, yes, definitely. Yes, because when someone is talking about building a relationship, that's link building, right? That's the common sense. But when you're working with the brand, and actually when I started working with SEMrush 8 years ago, that was our main strategy to create relationships. And the meaning of that was that, okay, we have products, we have features that help peoples, and some of the people who are using our fans or our users, the ones that have some kind of community, they are talking about us. So they are creating conversations. They are mentioning us on blogs. They are mentioning us on the main stage, or in webinars, whatever. So with those guys, basically with bloggers, with speakers, with professors from schools or universities, or with authors, the authors that are publishing on Amazon, for example, we wanted to have a bond with them. So we invited them to write for us, not for any type of link building strategy. We didn't have that. Actually, we started creating our own SEO just 3 years ago, but to have some community creation and some kind of community sense that they belong to something bigger than themselves. So in that case, one of the biggest communities in the SEO world was, and it still is the Moz community, because the buzz that they had around their blog was really amazing. Actually, we are going so many times to their blog as well to follow some of the trends that they have there. But we have right now, I believe, one of the biggest communities on the SEO just for the establishment for the brand awareness of the company, not just because of the sake of link building or the other type of strategies. And I need to say that we don't have paid relationship with influencers, or we're not paying them for creating dimensions. We are basically given the opportunity to have beta access, for example, for some new tools, to be part of one of the events that we are organizing in every part of the world. Actually, last year only, we organized around 150 events worldwide. So we have the opportunity to do some activities with them as well.
Okay, cool, interesting. So let's kind of segue that because we're
Yeah.
kind of getting into one of the topics that I wanted to talk about on the show, which is the SEO strategy for a big company. Now, when I do SEO for my websites, my e-commerce stores, I kind of have it broken down into a few simple steps that I need to do. And I've found that
Right.
when I'm thinking about these steps in such simple terms, it helps me kind of stay on track to getting the stuff done and implementing stuff successfully. So let me just break down for you what those steps are. And I think for anyone who's done SEO for any amount of time, it's pretty obvious. So first step
Yeah.
is I'm going to do keyword research. I personally like to go after the least competitive keywords when I'm first starting out a new site. So I'm going to get as many relevant keywords to the objective of the site as I can. So say if the site is trying to sell like widgets or something, I'm going to get as many keywords as I can find about widgets, create blog posts around that. Those will link to either products I'm selling, or if I'm an affiliate, products that someone else is selling. And then from there, I'll take that to its top level. Like I'll create as much content as I can, and then I'll start slowly dripping. Do some relationship building, start dripping the links into the site, and that's it. I really just rinse and repeat it. I know that
Yep.
there's a whole world of on-page SEO where you can, and I will do that if there's a page that I find like, oh, I have to rank for this keyword. But I found that it can kind of be time consuming and resource consuming to do it. So for me personally, just based on my goals and objectives. So I want to ask you, when you're looking at a big company, and maybe you can show some examples, give me some examples of companies you've worked with. What does the SEO
Yeah.
strategy look like compared to that smaller scale that I just mentioned?
Well, it's pretty much the same, but with some difference. The difference, of course, are based on the scale of the company. Because if you are working with a new project, you need to do the whole keyword research. You need to create the different topics based on the keywords. You need to do that research for your, for niche sites, right? But when you are working with already an established company that they are not with their first posts on their blog, or they don't have just a few products, they have, let's say, like 100,000 URLs or more than 1 million URLs. So there you have big problems, because you need to have a bigger team. You need to just have better organization with all the resources, and to be more effective, you need to start doing basically the same thing, but with different parts. I will start, for example, with this company that is one of our biggest clients, which is Booking.com. They have already 17 million URLs, which is just the biggest as it could get. For them, for example, their main problem is not content creation. The main problem is content repurposing and acquiring more search features for their own results. So they have tons of affiliates, right? Any hotel, it can be their competitor, but they want to have them on their list. So for them, for example, the SEO, on-page SEO will start like this. They need to do a site audit for their subdomains. For each subdomain, they have different regions, like 182 countries, and they need to do after that. So checking what is happening that all the issues that they have, duplicated content, broken link, the canonical issues, the website architectures, they have meta tags, the description is very well. So one by one by one. So this work can take couple of months or couple of years, depending on which country they are working. For example, they were working like for a year or more, just working for the UK domain, UK TLD. After that, they need to do another type of audit, which is the link audit, the backlinks audit. So there are several tools to do this, and basically they just need to check what type of backlinks they have acquired, or they have earned, or they have in all their subdomains, because we're working right now they're working right now with subdomains, and they need to check the level of toxicity of those links. Just per se, I was working with some of the guys from the company, and we saw that they have inside one domain about 2 million toxic backlinks. So having that amount of backlinks make your domain toxic for growing inside of the search marketing world, is to create even more links to that. So they need to clean that profile, that backlink profile for that URL, and that's basically selecting all the backlinks from that subdomain and put it all of them on a file called the disable file. Basically, you just need to send that to Google through your search console. We have created the tool to do that inside of SEMrush. So you can do the backlink audit. You can select all the links that are marked as toxic ones. So you can check just how many you have, select all of them, just the definition of toxic backlinks. We have right now like 35 marks that are defining the toxicity of the links. For example, you have a link that is coming from China or Russia, and it's not related to your content, it's not your language. Okay, that's one mark. The second mark, you are receiving links from a directory with thousands of other links that are not related to you. That's another mark. The third mark, you are receiving a link from a website that has been penalized in the past by Google. That's another mark. So we have 35 markers that they can say, oh, these backlinks are toxic for your website. So you need to create a file and to send that to create a disable file and to send that to Google. That type of activity, the last 6 months or so, are really effective, because you are sending something to Google. Google is approving that in a week or less than a week, and your traffic is going up. We saw that not only with Booking.com, but also with our own domain. Just selecting the links, the backlinks that are toxic, creating that disable file, sending it to Google is a normal practice for us. We're doing that like once per month. At the beginning, we were doing that once per week. Right now, we're doing that once per month. That's the second type of audit.
Cool.
And we have a last one. Yes, we have the last one. The last audit is the content audit. Just checking what is happening with the content. You have cannibalization there with your keywords. You are creating not very quality content in terms of number of words, or is thin content. You have problems with your, for example, JavaScript. You have technical problems with your content, and so on. So first, the site audit, then the backlinks audit, and third, the content audit. Starting with that, you have months of work.
Oh yeah, I can imagine on a big domain. I mean, I know for me, one of our stores maybe had just a couple hundred pages, and yeah, I mean, I didn't if it's just like a one-off task for me, like I don't have a team built around completing the tasks in an SEO audit. So, and I ended up doing a lot of it myself. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but I want to ask some questions about the process that you just said. So the first thing I want to talk about is toxic backlinks. Now, I've noticed, and I think anyone who looks at their backlinks on a regular basis, who owns a website, can attest to the fact that it almost seems like a pretty natural process that as your site grows in the search engine rankings, you're going to be getting toxic backlinks. Like, I'm not saying I can, even without verifying them with a tool, it's kind of obvious sometimes what toxic backlinks are. Like you said, you can see that they're linking out to a bunch of other sites. There's gambling, pharmacy stuff. So
porn.
Yeah. So honestly, I've only ever used the disavow tool once, a long time ago, And maybe
Yeah.
like 2 years ago, I didn't really notice that much of an impact when I did it. It was only on one site, so that might not be a good case study to go after. But I only disavowed like 100 links or something. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to ask is there like a critical mass of when you should start using the disavow tool? Because surely Google knows that like if a new site is rising in the rankings, it's going to pick up a few silly links every month, and maybe it won't penalize you for those. But I'm thinking, is there a point where, like, say, when you get to 1,000 links that may be toxic, that's when you should start regularly performing the disavow? Or like when, for small site owners, when should you start looking at that?
Yes, that's a great question. And basically, when you're growing with your project and uh, you are part of the landscape of competitors, so you will have tons of competitors, not only in your country, but in other countries. So in this case, for example, in our case, when we started growing like a lot, we have tons of negative SEO and tons of toxic backlinks. That's why we started doing that every single week, because at some point our domain was classified as toxic because we have just 95% of toxic backlinks. But that was something really unnatural. And you were mentioning that you did the last disable file like 2 years ago, right? We also did the first disable file, I believe, 5 years ago, and we waited like for 1.5 years to have some response from Google to say something. So it was really overwhelming to wait so long for a response, to have something. Right now, that process is automated. You can receive that reply really fast. And for a small company, if you are growing, not at the beginning, because at the beginning nobody is aware about that you exist, but if you are already part of the of the competitors landscape of your niche, of your industry, you will have people that were gonna create those links. And in our case, we have, I don't know, every single week, people writing from Nigeria, from Pakistan, or wherever, even from China, from Russia, saying, I will delete those 100, 2,000 backlinks if you deposit in my bank account $500 or something, right?
Uh,
So basically, yes, that's the way. We shared inside the company all those emails from people that are also sending DDoS attacks. They're saying, I'm starting a DDoS attack to your website. Just deposit in this bank account $20,000. We had a really big attack a couple of years ago. So we were not afraid of that. Actually, we celebrated that, because when you are receiving attacks from other companies, that means that you are already someone important in your industry. So you are not anymore like a shadow. You are a real big player. So we were celebrating when we had our first attack. After that, of course, our level of security, we have different tools, corporate tools that are doing some of the stuff automatically. And for the backlink profile, that's something that you can do as part of a process, like 1 hour per month, checking the links. If you have 300 backlinks, that's nothing. Basically, you just need to check that once per year. But if you have, I don't know, 1,000 backlinks coming every single day, you are a media portal, you are a bank, you are a mobile telephonical company, you are a corporate business, you will have thousand backlinks coming from anywhere, and some of them can be toxic. So you can create this as a process. And for the last 6 months, as I was saying, most of our friends from the industry, they were noticing that putting this process, the backlink audit, and just sending the disable file to Google, is something that is changing a lot the way that the traffic is increasing. You send that file, wait a couple of days, and your traffic is just going up.
okay, that's pretty interesting, actually. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you have it as an automatic process or more automated than the way I did it the first time I did it, I know it took me a few hours at least, so it wouldn't
Yeah.
be feasible to do it all the time. But no, I guess I see what you're saying now. So if you're in an industry and you really start to become, well, I can see, like, so we're talking corporate SEO here. So if you're a bank or a big search engine tool like yourself, yeah, there probably are going to be a lot of malicious attacks like you're describing. And then
Constantly,
I
yeah.
yeah, I didn't even think about that. But in that case, I could definitely see the utility of it. So I want to talk to something else you mentioned, which is keyword cannibalization. Um, Now, this is a topic that I've I've had multiple understandings of it over the years, and um, when I became less afraid of keyword cannibalization, I was able to make a lot of progress SEO wise, and I'm going to explain that in a second. But I was always afraid when I first heard about keyword cannibalization that if you have two pages that are like very similar, they're going to compete with each other. But the way I understand it now is that they're only you're the way things get cannibalized is on a keyword by keyword basis. So if you have
Yeah.
if you have two pages like targeting, I'm just going to go after something on my phone, or if you have two pages on your site that was like the best high interest savings accounts and the other one was the best high interest savings accounts, they're going to compete on those two keywords. But there you can, if you can have a page that's like the best high interest savings account for college kids or the best high interest savings account for seniors or something, and they're not necessarily going to cannibalize each other because you're kind of going after two different keywords. One is the has the modifier college kids and one has the modifier seniors. Do you get what I'm saying with that?
Right. Yeah. You're perfectly right with that. Yes.
So um, when you're talking about cannibalization, can you, I guess, explain it a little more for the listeners? Because I think it can be something that if you're new to SEO, it's kind of unclear, and I think it can kind of cause you to not make as many pages as you could to go after as many long tail keywords as you could because you're afraid of them cannibalizing. And at least that's what I was afraid of at first. I don't know if I'm the only one with that.
Yes. Actually, in terms of cannibalization, it's pretty much what you were explaining. You need to have two similar keywords in different URLs in different parts of your website that are meant to be for ranks, right? So we have here two situations. The first one, when the cannibalization doesn't matter. That's you were mentioning. You have one product or one service that you are offering. You are creating two similar pages, but one of them is more important. The second one is not that um, it's not that relevant. So you are just creating awareness around a product or service. Uh, that way, you just creating a piece of content with kind of similar, but not 100% similar questions. In this case, this is not a problem for you because you are, of course, you need to track your rankings. You need to track for every single page that they're meant to be for rankings. You need to check how good you are with the rankings. Just as an example, you are creating a piece of content based on the question, I don't know, how to rank higher on the SERPs, right? The second page is going to be how to rank higher on Google. In terms of meaning, both pages are kind of similar because of the context, but because of the keywords, they are kind of different, right? One of them is important for you, of course. The other one, maybe it's not that important because it's the term Google there, which most of the people, they say that it's internet, but the other one, maybe, let's put it like this. One of them is important, the other is not that. In that case, when you really need to care about cannibalization is when you are going with the same keyword several times and you are not aware about it. So we are creating content based on what is, for example, what is digital marketing. And in an industry where there's so many information about the same thing as many times, you can have, I don't know, 1,000 URLs, and you pretty much forgot about what you were talking the first 100. And you have like 5 pages, 10 pages, or in some cases you have 500 pages that they are low performing because of the similarity of the keywords. So in this case, that really matters because there is not one single source for Google to say, okay, this page is talking about this domain is talking about this. Oh, they're just trying to non-organically, but to do it indirectly, not as I was saying, not organically, to grow their ranks because of the usage of this keyword all the time. So there you have a problem because you will not be allowed to compete with high volume keywords. In that matter, that is the biggest problem. If you want to go with one single keyword, that's your main option, and that's your only option. One URL, one keyword. Forget about creating several pages with the same keyword. After that, forgetting about that you created those pieces of content in the past. Well, that's where the problem is pretty much it.
So what do you do about, so you said that there is the kind of competing at the high volume keywords. And this is something I actually have a question about. So if you have, say you wanted to rank for like the best wallets or something, like that short tail keyword, the best wallets of 2020. And you had you had 3 pages. You had the best wallets 2020, and you had the best wallets for women and the best wallets for men. So you have 3 different pages. And obviously you want to be relevant to the user for those longer tail keywords. So you want to have a page dedicated to the best wallets for men, and you have a page that you want to dedicate to the best wallets for women because you want to meet that user's need when they're searching in Google. And to me, that's like, that's really relevant to have because they're going to click on it more. You're going to get a higher CTR. They're going to stay on the page longer. But of course, you also want to rank for that best wallet 2020 piece of content that you have. So one of the ways that I might go about differentiating to Google of, hey, I want to rank the best wallets for men for best wallets for men, and the best wallets for women for the best wallets for women, would be my internal anchor text. And I might take the point anchor text in my best wallets for men guide that says best wallets 2020 to my main the guide that I'm trying to rank for the shorter tail keyword for. And then I might point a link from that main guide to the best wallets for women and best wallets for men, and make sure that those modifiers are in the anchor text, the women and the men. As far as, do you have any insight onto how to achieve what I'm trying to get at, is how can you rank for those long tail, very, very intent specific keywords, but then not also be able to compete for the short tail one, like the best wallets, or is accidental cannibalization inevitable there?
No, actually, there are several tips that you can work with that. Actually, for some of the cases that you are mentioning right now, 2 situations when you have just 3 pages, right? Just 4 pages with the best wallets for 2020 for men or whatever. When you have we have more pages, the things get more complicated because you need to or delete the content or considering non-indexing the content, or in this case, for example, when you have kind of similar content on one page, but you are more interested to have the long tail keyword ranked, you can consider to canonically, oh my God, how you
Canonicalize, I think.
Canonicalize, yes, canonicalize the main page that you want to rank, and just say, okay, this is the main page. Consider this Google as the masterpiece. Then the next one is just the second option. But consider this as the first reference for the content that I want to say. So in this case, most of the problems are when you have tons of content with this similar keyword, but when you have just a couple of them, you are interested in both. I will say consider the canon. Oh my God, I cannot pronounce that word. Canonication. Oh my God.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah,
the canonical. It's a tough. It's a tough word. But so this is where I kind of get hung up a bit, and I'm gonna ask you to go a little bit deeper on that. Is so I have a lot of situations where I'll have the best wallets for women page, and I don't want to canonicalize that page to my main page, which is the best wallets, because I still want to rank, because I'm ranking great for that best wallets for women keyword. And I know that if I
Yeah.
just have that main page and Google just sees it's just going to rank that best wallets page, it's going to rank worse for the best wallets for women. So I don't necessarily want to do that. But I do notice that I will have my best wallets for women page maybe rank in like position 10 or position 15 for the keyword best wallets. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. In this case, well, when you are implementing a tracking tool, a tracking service, when that thing is going to happen, you need to react. Or having two different pages, not doing the canalization, but just having two different pages are not indexing one. I just having, well, you need to test what is going to be better. Just reacting with your tracking tool. In such case, when, for example, we had the problems with cannibalization, we decided, okay, all these pages that are cannibalizing the results that we want to achieve, we want to delete all of them and created the content from scratch. Yes, we sacrificed a lot because we already have the domain authority, the big domain authority. So my first insight here, my first suggestion will be, if you don't have as much pages cannibalizing each other, you just need to start creating quality content from the beginning, just not to face this problem. Because in some cases, as the one that you're mentioning, you just need to be sure with that precision that, okay, this is gonna happen if I'm gonna create this another page, this another part of content, but you need to track that like crazy every single morning. Maybe it's gonna happen, maybe it's not.
Right, right. But so is using the internal, in your experience, because this is kind of what I've found, is using the internal anchor text a good way to differentiate to Google, like, hey, only rank this for this keyword, and then rank this for my short tail keyword, because that.
Oh yes, definitely. Yes,
Okay.
that's that's actually something that helps a lot. I don't think that that's changed because that's something that we were using and most of the people in the industry were using the last 5 or 10 years or more.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I think that that answered it. Let me see. Okay, so we're kind of running low on time here. So we talked about the corporate SEO strategy, which is pretty interesting to me. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but on a much bigger scale. And I can imagine that when you have thousands, did you say that one, the Booking.com, they had millions of URLs?
Yes, 17 million URLs.
Yeah, that sounds like it could be a lot of work. So I,
Oh yes, that's why they have like 15,000 people working only for digital marketing.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a question, and this is going to be in relation to the types of e-commerce stores that Mike and I build and that our students build as well. So oftentimes we are selling products that are they're branded products. Other people are selling them as well. So it's like maybe we're not going to be selling Nike shoes, but it's like a good example. Like we're selling Nike shoes. There's a bunch of other people selling the same product.
Yep.
Now, in terms of ranking that and ranking an individual product page, my recommended thing to go about it is you kind of build guides, separate pages, guides around that product, answering questions about it, or like related guides, like buyer's guides around that topic where you can link to that product. And then you'll build some links to those guides, or in some cases, if you can get a link directly to the product or something, that's good too. But do you have any advice or tips when you're trying to rank a product page that's very similar to other product pages that are out there, because you're really selling the same thing, and maybe you're even competing with some big retailers in some of the cases? How can you outrank them on a page that's very similar to what you're going to be selling?
Yes, definitely. Actually, because we are tools developers, we have this exact feature on our content analysis. So you can put the URL with the product that you want to promote, that you want to rank, and next to it, you can put the URL for your from your competitor's webpage. So it's the same product, has something similar with the content. You need to check the source. You need to see the source of success of your competitor's page, because in this case, one of them is working better, or one of them is working longer on the market, because of that has more visibility. In this case, we can see here different metrics. For example, the number of backlinks that they have received, the traffic that they are receiving because of their ranking, the keywords that they're ranking. Also, the social media that they are performing better. If they are doing some, I don't know, paid social, if they are doing something organic, we're gonna see that there. But you need just to select those URLs, in this case, to products, and just check what is happening. And we are tracking that automatically. If you're just creating today your page product, you just put there the URL, the URL from your competitor, and we will track that automatically. That is in content audit. It's called URL tracker or content tracker.
Yeah. So basically you're saying it comes down to the same things. You do the content audit, you look at maybe the differences in some of the way that the content is structured on your page versus your competitor's page. I've worked with these tools before. You kind of you're what kind of stuff are you examining on the content analyzer? Is it like the number of headings and the keywords and the variations in the headings and stuff like that?
Yes, and of course you can add there as well your Google Analytics, your Search Console to see some of your numbers, of course, because you cannot check that on your competitors. But for example, if you are working with products, you can check here, for example, the referral traffic for those products, from which sources they're getting the traffic. Just to check, I need to go with this with paid advertising because my competitors are just creating a lot of ads, or I can do it organically because they are just doing organic keywords. So here you can decide what is the strategy that you need to follow, because in some cases, if you are not paying for the ads, you will not have that click, because there are four other results that are in the top of the page that are better than yours because they are ads, right?
Yeah. Oh, so does SEMrush kind of give you the capability to track things like holistically, like for example, if you're running an ad, can you track your site like holistically in terms of how much traffic it's getting in terms of ads and
Oh,
organic?
we have so much data. We have this tool that is called Traffic Analytics and Market Research. There you can see all the sources of traffic, basically every single search engine, if they're receiving traffic from Google, from Bing, from Baidu, from DuckDuckGo, the social media traffic resources, they are receiving traffic from, I don't know, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram, whatever. So all the sources of traffic for every single domain, and you can compare that for your domain and your competitors as well. And we'll giving you with the market research tool, that is a pretty much insane tool. You just put the name of the leader of the market or your domain there, and we will create the whole environment, the whole niche. For example, you are working with, I don't know, you're selling shoes, your company is shoes.com, whatever. We will tell you how many competitors are in that industry, what is the percentage of market share of your webpage or the leaders for that industry, and who are the innovators, who are the progressive companies, and who can be the next leaders. So we are doing that measuring as well. And if is that not everything, we have also the audience research. So we can tell you who are in this industry, basically male, female, what are their interests? They're interested on animals, what are their hobbies, So we have tons of data to share here.
Oh, interesting. So you can see that. You can see what your competitors. So if there's a particular product page, you can kind of check out, okay, my competitors are getting this percentage of their traffic from paid, this percentage from organic, and then you can kind of make a judgment call. You can kind of say like, all right, I'm not going to bother to rank organically on this page because most of the traffic's coming from paid or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yes, definitely.
That's fantastic. I definitely am going to check that out because I think, that's something that would be really valuable to us actually. Because I know that's kind of always a big question I have when I'm doing SEO for one of our e-commerce stores. I'm thinking like, hey, when I'm trying to make the judgment call as the best stuff to rank for, it's always a question in my mind of, is it better just to do this paid? Is it worth to try and rank for this organically? So that's pretty interesting. So I have no further questions on my end. Thank you so much for your time, Fernando. Do you have any closing words?
Oh yes, thank you very much. It was so much fun. When we're talking about corporate SEO, if you're working with that, you definitely need to do the keyword research, all the audits, and of course the thing that we just mentioned, the competitors analysis, just to see what is happening around you. Because when you are online, you are competing with several thousands of other companies, not only in your region or your country. So that will be like the third big step. With all of that, thank you for inviting me. It was a great time.
All right. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget buildassetsonline.com/playbook for our free course, and we will see you in the next episode. Take it easy.